你们好，滑雪的马和 Lindsey Vonn. So I'm going to read. You may want to pause or slow the speed down if you're a beginning reader. This is designed for one particular class of people reading in Chinese characters for the very first time. 看，哦，它是马，对啊，它是我们的马，对，它是意大利的马，啊，它不是中国的马，不是美国的马，它是意大利的马。我们的马是意大利的马，它不是人，它是马，它不是意大利人，它是马，它是意大利马。我们的马是意大利的马。哦，看，他是谁？啊，他是 Lindsey Vonn。他不是马，他是人。对，哦，他是美国人。对不对？哦，看 Lindsey 说你好 Lindsey Vonn 滑雪，看他的滑雪板，他是滑雪老师。It's a fictional story, perhaps. 我们的马滑雪，看他的滑雪板。可是他不是滑雪老师。我们的马不是老师。哦，看，是 Lindsey Vonn， 是我们的马。他的滑雪老师是 Lindsey Vonn， 是他的滑雪老师。Lindsey 不是意大利人，对，看那里，他是美国人。他是马的滑雪老师。看，他们滑雪了。Lindsey 滑雪，我们的马也滑雪。Lindsey 是我们的马的滑雪老师。他们在意大利了。Lindsey 去了意大利。我们的马也去了意大利。他们去了意大利滑雪。他们滑雪了。看。哎呀 Lindsey 滑雪。可是，哎呀 Lindsey 不好了。Lindsey 不滑雪了。Lindsey 去了 hospital， 看他在 hospital 了。他还好。Lindsey 不滑雪了。我们的马想一想。Lindsey 老师 去了意大利滑雪，可是他不滑雪了。我也滑雪。我是马，可是我滑雪。我为 Lindsey 滑雪。看，我们的马去看奥林匹克的人。马说 Lindsey Vonn 不滑雪了。我是马，可是我滑雪。我为 Lindsey 滑不滑雪？奥林匹克的人说什么？他们说好，你为 Lindsey 滑雪。还是奥林匹克的人说不，你是意大利马， Lindsey 是美国人，你不滑雪，不为 Lindsey 滑雪。他们说什么？看。看，他为 Lindsey 滑雪了。我们的马滑雪了，他为 Lindsey 滑雪。好。So I'm going to go back and do a little bit of talk through some of the characters in this story and talk just a little bit about some of the forms that you see in the characters. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So I jumped back to a slide just to pick some characters to look at a little bit more closely. And you'll notice ma here, and over here, and over here. It's actually a pictographic character. So it's a very stylized horse, but if you can see up here, kind of the head and the mane around here and the body, the feet are a streak because it's running, and here's the tail. So that's actually a pictograph. Some characters are pictographs, but many are not. Here's another pictograph though. 人. Can you see if somebody had their arms by their side, here's their head and their long leg and their other leg walking. And then to get the word for big, which is in Italy, da is the word big, you can see it's a person with their arms stretched out. So there's 3 that are actually pictographs in this. I'm not sure. Bull might be another pictograph, but it seems more abstract to me. One of the other things you might have noticed as we read, this is ta for he or him pronouns. And you might notice on the left side how that looks is also here in 我们, the men part of 我们. Right there, it has the meaning human. It's actually gender neutral, that little bit of the character, but this symbol has come to mean he over time, because now there is a different pronoun for she. Do you see the similarity on the right? But on the left, it's a part that sounds, or not sounds like, but means female. So that's the difference between ta and ta in writing. Just another little note there, you probably noticed that one character has one syllable. So here's ta, here's shi. And sometimes characters have this kind of little part on the left and a little part on the right that kind of smoosh together into a square. And sometimes there's a top part with the bottom part, and that smooshes together in a square. Sometimes it just kind of fills that whole big block, like in ma and in bo and ma. And then there's some other kinds of configurations too that you might have noticed in some other characters. Let's see. Here's another one. Here's another one with a left and then the right, and then a top and a bottom. This is hua. It actually is like sliding or slipping, and then snow. So skiing is literally like sliding on snow. And these 3 little dots refer to something that is related to water or maybe a quality of water. So slippery when wet kind of a thing. So this part tells us something is slippery when we see it with this part over here. So there's with character 滑. And then 雪. This top part is the universe with some rain dots in there. And then this part at the bottom sounds kind of like 雪. So once you know some characters, it starts to build up over time, and you start to see these parts again and again in different places. Some of them will remind you of a sound. Like I think this is meant to represent some sound in this character. And sometimes it'll help us remember the meaning. And usually, like I think it's 80% of characters, maybe it's a little lower, have that kind of a configuration. So there's some part that has something to do with the meaning, there's some part that has something to do with the sound, and then you put them together and it kind of helps you remember because there's something meaning related, there's something sound related, but it doesn't perfectly match. It's not phonetic. It's not like it's spelling the sound in here or anything like that. It's just a reminder like, oh yeah, remember in that other word, it sounded kind of like this? So now you can get a little clue. Let's see. Oh, here's another kind of fun one here. So here's a left side and a right side character again. And then this lao is actually, you can see maybe, this is a person up here standing on the ground with a big walking stick. So an elderly person, they need a walking stick. This little bit, kind of forget what that part is, but together there's lao, aged or old in an honorific way, and shi, a master. Now to explain this, I'll tell you how characters don't always seem to follow the logic I just described. On this side it's a knife. It represents a knife, these two little lines. And then over here, it's also in, I think it's a handle sometimes, but it's also in the word for like coins or currency. And so I think that one's probably got something to do with sound, but doesn't seem to indicate it right there for me anyway. But it may actually. I should double check that. You can always look these up in the very nifty dictionary online called mdbg.com, or is it .net? mdbg. And there you can kind of find a breakdown of the character if you're into like, ooh, but what are these parts? And what is this? There's a lot of resources for that. What I find the most helpful in remembering characters, though, isn't memorizing different little parts of them so much as it is getting to see them a lot and remember their meaning and their sound and the context of the story and how people actually use these to communicate in written form, I think is critical. And then it's just like icing on the cake to get to know some of the ways that the characters are formed. It does help them be more memorable, and especially if you want to handwrite them, it can be very helpful. So that's my little blurb on characters.